I think and even when I was even there, I remember I was in this Uber and we're driving through Cape Town, and I was just looking at, you know, a lot of these women and just people generally, and I said to this Uber driver, I looked at him, I said to him, my friend, have you ever been to Europe or America? And he goes, no. I said, okay. I said, whilst you're here, tell your friends and every man that you know to protect your women and love and care for your women, because your women are extraordinary women.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, really? I said, yes.
Yes.
I said, I'm not saying that there's no good women in the West or where I'm from. There is.
Yes.
But in my humble opinion, I feel that women from that particular part of the world, and I'll even talk about East Africa, a lot of people will even talk about South America, the Caribbean is also another prime example. Yeah, they just have a different sort of sensibility that I think really aids them in their sort of longevity of relationships.
Completely agree. The culture there, the narrative culture there, so like encourages that, whereas the one here encourages something else.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's really the problem. And that's why, you know, you got these passport bros, you know, you got these guys that are getting their little stamps on their passports and their...
I know. For those of us who don't know what that is, what is a passport, bro? What does that term mean?
So to my knowledge, I mean, would I classify myself?
Are you a passport, bro?
I'm a passport,
Are you getting wives in different country codes?
I wouldn't go that far. But yeah, but this passport bro movement, it's I feel that if you have the opportunity and the mobility to do that, I would say go and do it, right? I would say you can't put a price on love, you know. You can't put a price on finding, you know, that life companion who is going to support you and is going to be with you for a long time, because it dawns on you after a certain point in your life that, you know what, you do need a companion. You know, we're not designed to be alone all the time. Yeah. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Can we define what a passport bro is? For those who don't know.
Yeah, so it's a lot of guys who just have their passports, are not really too sort of happy with the status of their relationships or even just the dating market where they're from, in particular America, Europe.
Sure.
So they go to places like South America, like Africa, Asia a lot of the time, and they just try to meet women who are a bit more sort of traditional, as you've said, a bit more sort of submissive, even though that's kind of like a buzzword these days. But submission is a very, very good thing, especially if the man encourages women in a positive way.
I agree.
That's when it becomes a power. It's actually, there's a lot of power in femininity, right?
Yes.
And I think a lot of the passport bros see that, hence the reason why they go as far as they go. And a lot of them actually do meet women, and they settle down. I mean, there's men that have been told that they've remortgaged their houses and gone to Brazil, gone to Salvador, bro.
Yes.
And have lived in Brazil and are now just laughing because they've got a gorgeous woman and a beautiful nuclear family. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So sometimes, you know, sacrifice is very important if you want to find like a true life partner, which I think is very important for so many reasons.
I agree. So I can hear the women watching this being like, well, that's because they can't handle the women in their own country, like in America or like in the UK and Europe. They want to go elsewhere because those women are young and impressionable and he can manipulate them and all of this stuff. So what would you say to those comments, those rhetoric about a guy traveling abroad to find the kind of woman he's looking for?
The first word you said there was handle. Why do I need to handle a woman?
Big facts.
I don't need to handle you. I handle a puppy, or I handle a kitten, or I handle, you know, I don't know, a cricket bat if I'm playing cricket.
Yeah.
I don't need to handle you. You know what I mean?
Why do I need to handle you?
You know,
good point.
I think sometimes, you know, I feel that, put it this way, I would say this: if a man feels that he has to go as far afield as those places to find happiness, that's someone who's very, very serious. So if you do know of, if these women do know of men that have done that before, then it might be good to ask yourself a question. Okay, if he's willing to actually go to Brazil and all these countries to meet somebody, if I work on being what he may be attracted to, or maybe change certain elements about my personality that might help me attract said man, that's the kind of man I should be investing in. Because this man clearly is focused on meeting somebody that he wants to spend the rest of his life with.
Yeah.
So what I would say to women is, I think sometimes paying attention to detail as to why men do these things is very, very important.
It can
And
help.
we also, as men, have our duty to also pay attention to why, because, you know, contrary to popular belief, there's a lot of beautiful women, accessible women in the West,
Yes.
in America, that deserve to have good men and are looking for good men.
Yes.
Unfortunately, sometimes it just kind of gets clouded with all the other rhetoric that's around. So as men, it's important to focus a lot more and pay a lot more attention to detail so we can kind of see where these women are, because they're often hiding behind things and they're often in places that have a lot of smoke.
Yes.
So we don't know where they actually are, you know?
Yeah.
And that's why I said there's nothing wrong with men asserting themselves if you're a single man and speaking to a lot of women, because then you'll be able to dissect the personalities and see what it is that you really want and kind of really take sex out of the equation and kind of make it more mental.
Yes.
Because that's always going to be a thing when you meet someone that you like. But I always say, for men to be successful, to find the right partner you're looking for, let it be mental exercise.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think that you're absolutely right in the sense that there's a level of responsibility we have to take as men, because guys will often say, oh, I don't want to go who's on OnlyFans, I don't want to go posting her body, all of this stuff. But those are the exact same photos that you're liking.
Yep.
Those are the exact same accounts that you're following.
Exactly.
So if a good woman is seeing what the culture right now and what's happening socially, it's like, okay, guys are expressing this is the kind of woman they want, but they're rewarding their attention to the exact qualities that they say they don't want in a girlfriend, that they don't want in a wife.
Yep.
And so I think as a guy, or as men even, if we're going to say, okay, we want a certain type of woman, because at the end of the day, right, women are the gatekeepers for sex and physical intimacy. Men, we're the gatekeepers for commitment and emotional intimacy.
Absolutely.
So we know as guys, because we have to, if a woman says, okay, if a woman shows this is the kind of man that I share my sexuality with, as guys, we go, okay, cool. I know if I want to start getting sexuality, I need to develop those areas in myself, right? So women are going to do the same thing. They're going to, okay, well, you know, we know women like attention, like validation, right? Initially, not that they don't like the sex, but that's initially what they're looking for, right? That's what they like from a man. So if they're looking at what we're rewarding with attention and validation, and it's all the kind of women who are displaying this sexuality that we may indulge in casually, but we wouldn't choose seriously. All those good women, all they're seeing is us validating certain qualities and behaviors that is contradictory to what we say that we want.
Absolutely.
And so at the end of the day, if we want, as men, if we want to be in a culture where we feel produces and encourages the kind of woman we want to choose seriously, we have to stop validating that behavior.
Yeah, no, I agree. I totally agree. Because I feel that it does sort of, it kind of almost lessens your focus as a man sometimes when you're kind of indulging in a lot of that. And I always say, you know, I had this epiphany the other day. Could you imagine if all of these thousands of women posted all of these provocative things online, right? All the sexual and lingeries and all that.
Yeah.
And they get no likes for 6 months. No one likes their posts.
That would change the game.
It would change the game.
Change everything.
Yep, it would change the game. And I always think that way, and that totally is a strong example of your point there. I feel that, you know, the more I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with liking a picture and stuff like that, but I think sometimes it's like, even me now, when I see a lot of these things come up on my feeds and I see, oh, you know, suggested follow, I'm like, no, I'm not interested. No. I don't really need to, do you know what I mean, follow somebody who's got 1.5 million followers, but 3 likes on her page. It's like, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You know, you've bought like 500,000 people.
100%.
Like, you know, and even if you haven't, what relevance am I to you if you have 9.4 million followers? Like, my inbox is just going to be...
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
And I wouldn't inbox anyway, because it's like, why would I do that?
It's true. I think the equivalent as well, I was thinking about, for example, maybe girls who do OnlyFans, right? They're like promoting, you know, their sexuality to get guys into their OnlyFans. But every time I ask them, would you date a guy who subscribes to your OnlyFans? They almost unanimously say no.
Of course they won't. Of course they won't.
And I'm like, why we're both doing these contradictory things towards getting what we want.
I know.
But I think that's a reflection of us pursuing short-term gain and long-term gain.
Absolutely.
You know? As guys, if we're liking the woman who's displaying her sexuality, short-term game is, well, I can have fun with this girl. Long term, I wouldn't choose.
Yeah.
Women, it's okay. Short term gain of getting guys simping after hers. I get validation, maybe get finances and profit from it and revenue. For long term game, that's not the guy that I would choose.
Yeah.
So maybe we're just in a culture where what we're doing right now is everything is almost geared towards short term gain, maybe not long term.
That totally is the culture. And my whole thing is, how are we gonna get out of that?
Yeah.
When is the penny going to drop? Is it ever going to drop? And I think as men, if I'm talking from a male point of view, this is where specifics becomes very important, and intention. And sometimes, when you are direct with a lot of women as a man, or when you do pay attention and focus on the types of personalities that you should be going for, I think that gray area becomes a bit more clearer. And that's what I've understood as I've gotten older. Sometimes it's looking at the actions of what women do as opposed to what they say. I've met loads of women who have said so many things. We've been on dates and it's like, oh my God, this woman is absolutely amazing. It's like, whoa. And then that never, well, not all the time, but a lot of the time it doesn't really consistently match what that vibe was I was getting from her on the first date, for example, So I feel that actions is a lot more important for me. I mean, I know it sounds basic, but I always say women are very instinctive. So you would know if there's interest, you would know if there's potential. And as a man, never count the first date. That's not important. The first date's always going to be what it is because it's the first date.
Yes.
Look at what comes after that.
That's
when you would really, really know.
Hope you really enjoyed that clip. If you want to watch the full episode where that clip is from, then I want you to click right here where you can watch the full episode. And if you're ready to claim your man today, enroll in my program below, and I'll see you there. Wishing you an amazing day.